Welcome back, everybody, to the J&J Sip and Say.
It's 2020.
2020. This is 2020.
Barbara Walters.
I had to say it.
There's just some of the best memes, though, with Barbara Walters doing the 2020.
Yeah.
It's good to be back. We're back trying to do a weekly podcast for you guys. And got a pretty special one tonight. I'm really excited about it.
And it's all about the one and only Jake Sewell.
It is. Back in September, I lost my job. We kind of touched on that in previous podcasts.
But we really didn't dive into it.
No, we didn't dive into the details, and it's a story I've been wanting to tell for a while, but I wanted to make sure everything shook out the right way, that I got our proper severance, I got a new job lined up, and everything's looking great. So I thought tonight we can start 2020 with kind of a
recap of the fourth quarter of 2019.
Yeah, basically October, November, December, and a little bit of September. So I guess quick backstory is I had worked at Mercix Corporation. I started there in 2010. I had been there pushing 9 years. And in February, my boss at the time unexpectedly left for another company. He had another opportunity. He kind of had some differences with upper management and ownership. And
he legit walked out.
He walked out. So at the time, he was buying all of the raw material. We made automotive parts. He probably managed about $17, $18 million. Big job. Very difficult job. I worked under him. I was managing all of our maintenance, repair, and operation. I probably managed about $2 million. Pretty small. In hindsight, it's a pretty small job. It was a good fit for me at the time in my experience level. When he left, I was kind of thrust into his role, which I did not have the experience for. It's one of those jobs, if I had ever applied for, I would never got a call back. But since I was there, I got put in his role in February. And I worked in that position I think it was like February 22nd, 23rd. It was like February. I worked probably 10, 11-hour days. I was working a lot of hours. I know you even brought it up to me a couple times, like, hey, do you have to work so many hours? And like, I want to prove myself, be the company guy, all that good stuff. And
the team player.
Yeah, I really tried. I felt like it was going pretty well. I actually had a chance to go to another company in April and was kind of talked out of it by upper management, and also I was comfortable at my current position. I was comfortable with the company. I'd been there 9 years. It was home, I guess you would say. I knew what to expect, and hindsight, that was a bad decision. So fast forward to September. Working for a company who was not doing well financially and looking to make changes. I accidentally was copied on an email between a couple of the owners detailing out how I was going to be dismissed from the company. And
Burn.
It was the email went out late on a Sunday night, which would have been September 22nd. Not like I've forgotten or anything. And
I didn't forget the dates either.
Yeah. I never forget. I went to the YMCA early that Monday morning, did spin class, got back to my truck, out of habit, checked my emails, kind of a working too much type guy, I guess you would say, and opened up the email that I was copied on saying how I was going to be training my replacement. I was going to be replaced in the late October, early November. Basically, I was going to be losing my job. So when I got to work that morning, I printed the email because I knew it would come up, obviously, with upper management. I knew my days at that company was over. So I printed the email. I sent it to my personal email just to have record of it. And then I went to talk to my current boss, who was an owner but kind of on the outside. There's
It's weird.
It's a family owned company that has their issues. So I talked to him for a while. I could tell he was blindsided by it as well. I talked to the owner, and it was a case of when a company is struggling financially, has issues with their sales, has issues making money, they're desperate. They're going to do whatever they can to cut salaries. And when you're at a company for almost 10 years, you work your way up, your salary gets bigger. And when your salary gets bigger, there's a bigger target on your head. If you're basically disposable because they can get rid of you, cut payroll, and then spread the work out. So that Monday morning, I got the email. I confronted my owners. We had a heated but civil discussion. And for about 2.5 hours, it was, like I said, it was heated. It never got out of control. I knew my goal was to maintain my composure, tell them how I felt, but I also knew I needed to get some severance to get me time until my next job. Talked to him for 2.5 hours. At the end of the meeting, I was like, I think it's best if I go home today, because obviously I was very angry. They didn't want me out on the floor. And on the way home, I called you and told you, hey, I think I'm going to be losing my job. We're going to be okay. And we're going to figure this out. But I really never asked you what was kind of your reaction. You know, I was kind of the proactive, hey, this is happening. I'm going to be losing my job. We're going to make it work. And I just kind of went from there. But what was kind of your reaction when I told you that?
I was shocked because your immediate boss had told you that you were safe and don't go job searching on them.
Yep, 3 weeks before I got that email. And like I said, there was a lot of lack of communication between the ownership. My boss, great guy. I still respect him to this day. We left on very good terms. The siblings that he works with, I think felt they kind of left him out of the loop. So he was kind of out of the loop. He was telling me one thing, they were thinking another. But so you were shocked as
I was surprised you were calling me from work. To be honest, that was my first reaction. Because I remember exactly what I was doing. Blair and I had just left the Y. I was getting him buckled into his car seat, and you were calling me from work. I'm like, that's really weird. I've called you before at your work, but you've never called me from work. I mean, we message each other throughout the day, but you never call me. And so I remember getting on the phone with you, and you go, so some stuff went down here at work. I mean, I thought it was going to be like an emergency, like there was a health scare, or, you know, God forbid someone came in with a gun. I mean, I had no idea what you were about to tell me. Granted, all of that is, you know, much more serious than what you were about to tell me.
For sure.
But you said, you know, stuff went down here at work. I am still employed. We can talk about it more when you get home. And here's just a little light note. I was going to go to Aldi's after that to do grocery shopping. And I said to you, I'm like, well, do you just want me to come home now? And you were like, no, go to the grocery store. But then you told me later, you're like, well, I've seen our fridge. You need to go to the grocery store.
Yeah, I wanted to keep things as normal as possible. I knew at that point I was no longer going to be employed. And when you're the sole breadwinner of the house, because you
you are.
Well, you stay at home with Blair, which is a very difficult job, being a stay-at-home mom. But, you know, I was the one bringing home the money. But I wanted to keep hey, we're going to make this work. I don't know how, but we're going to make this work. So I got home that day, obviously very frustrated. Might have had a few cocktails on the porch. You know, I contacted my dad, who had went through layoffs and kind of the same thing in the 70s, 80s. And him and even your parents as well, who, you know, your dad went through some issues with work as well. Not his fault, just companies. They kept saying everything's gonna be okay. Just keep chipping away. So that Monday, I just kind of had some drinks, and we just kind of figured out, you know, what was our plan of action. And the first thing I did was I made a list of people I knew who either own businesses, work with businesses, tied in the community. I probably made a list of 50 people. Immediately, I sent all those people my resume. Instead of sitting around sulking about it, I was like, hey, this is what I can do. Make a list, get resumes out. I was fortunate. I took the rest of that Monday off. I took that Tuesday off. We took Blair to the zoo. It was a great day.
Well, you had told them, you were like, I'm not coming in tomorrow. I'm going home for the rest of the day, and I'm not coming in tomorrow. And I remember sitting on the porch with you and your dad, and you were like, yeah, I'm not going to work tomorrow. And I'm like, let's just go to the zoo.
Yeah,
we'll have a family day, and we have a membership anyways.
It was a great day. It was a nice day to just kind of get away from the whole situation. I knew what was coming that Wednesday. So I texted my boss and said, hey, let's meet at 9 a.m. on Wednesday. I'll meet with you and your brother, who's the owner. So I got there on Wednesday morning, and I guess the owner was sick, so he was unable to make our meeting. But I was able to talk to my boss.
Supposedly.
Yeah, supposedly sick. But I was able to talk to my boss, who, like I said, I still respect. I have a good relationship with, and we had a very good conversation. I was able to get a couple months severance. And, it was weird. I'd worked 9 years at this place and did everything I was asked. Always worked the extra hours, did all I could. But when I left there, it was like a weight off my shoulders. And I never felt so relieved to leave, just to get like this weight off your shoulders. It felt so good. And I remember I think I called you and I was like, this feels right. Because, it's scary when you're the breadwinner and you don't have a job anymore. But I left there and I said, I think this is the right decision. And my like I said, my first step was to make a list of contacts. That was a Wednesday. I went and picked out some new glasses, like kind of took care of some errands, and I came home and that Thursday I immediately started job searching. I think the most important thing I did was like, okay, now I have a new purpose. And I told you that when I got home that I said, I got to spend every morning job searching. And you were great because, you and Blair were here, but you're like, hey, I'll take Blair to the Y. I'll go do this.
Well, Blair and I didn't. We just still did our same routine of what we always do.
Right. So I was like, this is my new purpose. I have to job search every day. I got to send out resumes. I got to send out applications. Now, we're recording this on Sunday night. I never would have thought it would take 3.5 months to start a new job, but the process and the experience has been amazing. It's challenging, as stressful as it's been. Because like the first couple months, it was like, hey, we're still getting severance pay. I'm doing all this job searching, but there wasn't a lot available at the time. I had
nothing that you were either A, qualified for, or B, wanted. And I'm not trying to demean any job, but you are getting 2 months severance. Like, the need to just rush out and get any job wasn't there. So you were searching for that next career, not just a job.
Right. I didn't want to go just get
like
a job. Yeah.
I'm not trying to demean anything, like work at Walmart or like Menards or something.
Yeah, I mean, this is not demeaning any job. This is not saying I'm better, but I am college educated. I had 10 years experience in the real world. Like, I want to get a middle to higher level position.
You're wanting a new career.
Right. And, within about 3 weeks, I got an opportunity. And this is important. This is very important. I really think it reflects Jill and I's mentality on family and spending time together. I got a really good salary offer, excellent benefits from Magna Corporation here in Muncie. They make automotive parts. They're a very well-established company. They offered me a excellent salary, excellent benefits. But they told me in the interview they expect at least 50 to 60 hours per week, every week. And then a lot of times at least one Saturday a month. And I was fortunate. The guy who had the job, they contacted me. I actually didn't even apply to the place. They contacted me. I talked to him, and he talked about working 11 to 12-hour days. And this is where Jill was kind of the rock of the family, and kind of the one with the best perspective of it, I guess you would say. Said, I don't want you to work 12-hour days. I don't want you to work 11 or 10-hour days. You know, your son's 2 years old, or going to be 2 years old. I don't want to see you work 6 to 6 every day and see him for 30 minutes a day. And that's one thing, and I know we talked about it before, but I have to give you props, is the support you gave me at that time. It was one of those, it was early in the process. I could have had a job, could have had benefits, could have had a good pay. And, you know, I lost sleep over the job. I really thought I should have took it. I didn't want to take it. But when you said, I don't want you to work those kind of hours, not be around, I mean, that was just, you know, you sold me on it. So what made you have that perspective?
I didn't think it was fair to you or to me or to Blair. I didn't think it was fair to anybody. And I don't know the corporation, but I mean, they have a reputation for overworking people.
Very much
I'm
so.
just a firm believer in a good work-life balance. And for you to go and pretty much make the same amount of money you were before.
Yeah, it was an equal
but
salary.
Work 12-hour days or, you know, one Saturday a month.
Yeah, they said, hey, we expect at least 50 hours a week. And
that's 10-hour days.
every day.
Every day, yeah.
And during inventory, we expect 12 to 13. I mean, that was straight up in the first interview. That wasn't later in the process. That was one of the first questions I was asked. And I thought, wow, that's going to take a lot of time from my wife and my son.
And I think, I mean, it wasn't as bad when my parents had me, but I know when my sister was first born, my mom stayed home with her, just like I do. And, you know, my dad was the breadwinner. And he also traveled a lot. I mean, he would be gone for almost 2 weeks at a time. And I know it was really hard on my mom. I mean, she's a new mom, and she's basically doing it by herself. And it's no fault of my dad's. I mean, when he was around, he was very involved. But I mean, that was just part of the deal of his job at the time. And not that I, you know, remember those times. Obviously, I wasn't even around yet, or even when I was younger. I didn't want that for my family. And I know you have to make, you know, desperate times call for desperate measures, but I just felt like there has to be something else out there. There has to be another option.
Yeah, and that was one thing you were really solid on. You just kept saying, I know something better. You know, we're early in your severance. I had 2 months severance. You're early in your severance. You've got all these applications out. I've already had multiple interviews. We knew something was going to come up. We didn't know when, we didn't know where, but you're like, I think something better is going to come.
And normally I'm not the positive one. It's normally you.
Yeah, right. I'm usually the one's like, hey, this is going to work out. We'll be fine. No worries. And it kind of switched. It was funny. I think because I felt the burden of needing to get back to work, I was tempted to take that job. And you were like, no, don't. The amount of hours you're going to have to work and be away from Blair, be away from, you know, yourself, it's not going to make a good family dynamic.
No, and I think it would have been a little bit different had I been like a working mom, you know, outside the home mom. But here I would have been, you know, with him all, because you would have been, you know, gone before he would get up. You would not be home. We'd either have to like push dinner time back from when we normally eat now, or you would miss dinner every night. And like that's a lot on me to have to, you know, take care of him all day and then into the evenings too.
Yeah, it would have a huge burden on you. And then here I am, and literally the job was like 15 minutes from the house, but 15 minutes might as well be 10 hours when you're working.
Right.
When you're missing dinner, you're missing bedtimes, you're missing, you know.
And
all this
it'd
stuff.
be different if it was just you and I or we were empty nesters. But, Blair just turned 2. He needs his dad. And you need him. Like, you need to see him every day, not just, to put him to bed.
Right, right. So that was early October, and I stewed on that for a week. I actually called them. I said, hey, I got some other stuff going on, some other offers, some other interviews. Can I get back with you guys? I think it was like a Monday. I said, give me the weekend. And, I didn't sleep much those 3 days. I think you did. You were solid about it. You're like, nope, that's not the right fit. So
You always tell me, anytime I'm worried about something, you're like, didn't I tell you it was going to work out? See, so now I can say it to you.
This is a situation where you were the one that was like, this is going to work out. Don't worry about it. So, yeah, I called and turned down a job that was equal money, better benefits, but I was with you. I knew it was going to work out.
You wouldn't have been happy there.
No one's happy there, let's be honest. I know a lot of people who either are working there or have worked there, and they have their issues. And then it kind of went into a bit of a lull.
Yeah.
That was early October. I kept sending resumes out, and I'd have interviews, and some of the interviews were just a joke. I
don't know how people get away with like false advertising a job.
It's so bad. I had one. It was supposed to be a marketing, social media position for a property management company, in Muncie, mainly Ball State Properties. I'm like, okay, I have a marketing degree. I'm outgoing. Like, this could be a good fit. I get to the place. Of course, I'm wearing my suit and tie. I look all nice, and everyone else is in jeans and a t-shirt. And they're like, well, this is a leasing associate position. I said, okay, well, that's okay. I could probably do that.
It's not what you posted.
Not what you posted, but whatever. And we got talking, and they explained the commission, which was like $50 if you got someone to sign up for a lease. I said, okay, that doesn't seem like a lot, but what's the hourly rate? And I don't want to knock anyone making this kind of money, but she's like, it's $9 an hour. And granted, I've been making way more than that. And I'm like, okay, well, we just wasted.
Maybe if I was like 20 and didn't have a wife and son to support and a mortgage and
terrible benefits, I'm saying, okay, well, we've wasted our time. Whatever. And it happens. There was one small engine warehouse. They do like tractor engines, lawn or push mower engines, and all kinds of stuff like that. And it was nice. Our pastor got me in the interview. He goes, "It's a great company." They didn't even look at my resume. So I get there. They're like, "Oh, we got this position, and we think you'd be great for it." And it was. I don't want to downplay a position, but it was basically a warehouse worker, someone making $10 an hour. So I go in there, suit and tie, gotta look good, presentable. I'm after that next job. And they're like, "Do you have you ever ran a forklift?" I said, "Well, yeah, back in college when I worked at Menards." And like, "Oh, that's good. And I gave them my resume, and they looked at my resume because I had 2 college degrees and all this automotive experience and purchasing and all these certifications. And like, oh, this. Okay, yeah, we didn't really look at your resume." And I was like, well, that's another, waste of time, I guess you would say. So October was a bust, I guess you would say. I had the offer at Magna, which was, the hours was ridiculous. I had the ridiculous interviews for $9 an hour or a warehouse position. And then we got into November, and I had 2 really good interviews. One was with Command Industries. They do industrial supplies. They supply a lot of manufacturing plants with bearings, all sorts of just kind of industrial supplies as a sales job. And it was commission plus, so it was base plus commission. It had a company car. You got a laptop. You worked out of your home. It sounded like a great deal. And at the same time, I had applied at NTN Drive Shaft in Anderson, which they make drive shafts for Honda and Tesla. And it was actually a purchasing job, which I had been doing for quite a few years. and it was a great interview. Felt really good with the company and who I met with, and my boss, who I will eventually be working with. But the command job sounded really good. I mean, we talked about it quite a bit. You're like, man, if you could work from home and have your flexible hours. But come to find out, command had just sold out to a giant corporation. And it was weird. That company, I would get a call from them and like, hey, we want to have a in-person interview.
You'd already done 3 phone interviews.
Yeah, I had 3 phone interviews, and like, we want to meet you in person. I said, great, I'm available anytime you want. Never heard back from them. The only time I ever heard back from them is when I called NAM, and of course, instantly I'm like, all right, if this is how they are about interviews, how are they going to be supporting their salespeople? And fortunately, through a lot of networking, I knew someone who worked in the same industry for another company, and he kind of explained how things work and where command was and how the territory I'd be covering was, and it just didn't sound like a good fit. And about the same time, NTN, what was that, late November, had reached out to me and said they were going to make me an offer.
Like unofficially? Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was late. Well, my interview was before Thanksgiving, and they said the interview went really well. They said, hey, we'll contact you after Thanksgiving for a second follow-up interview. 3 days later, they called and said, we're going to make you an offer. So I knew I had an offer. I didn't know I was going to wait another 3 weeks. And it was funny. Actually, it was on my birthday, me and Blair's birthday, on the December 17th. They sent me an email and gave me a phone call and sent me over an excellent job offer. Excellent salary, excellent benefits. As a company, they seem to only really want you to work 8.5 hours, which I know you were really excited about.
Yeah.
You were...
Which is normal hours.
Yeah, right. It's a little bit farther drive, but... I'm okay with that. If I can go work an 8-hour day, if I drive 40 minutes, that's okay. I can drive to Anderson, work an 8-hour day, drive home, and actually be gone less hours than I was working at my previous job, which I know makes you happy.
Yeah.
It's going to make Blair happy. So it's been quite an experience, to say the least. The whole experience, I've learned so much as far as, first of all, if you're in a job, I was at Mersix, and I just kind of felt like I needed to go do something else, but I didn't take the initiative to do it. I did not want to get out of my comfort zone, and it's one of the biggest mistakes I think I made. And we've talked about this. I had a chance to leave. I didn't. If you're at a company and it doesn't feel right, you don't like your job, you feel like something might happen, do a lot of job searching. It doesn't cost anything. Feel free to get out of your comfort zone. It's something I didn't do until I was forced to, and now that I was forced to, I could not be happier. Because if you stay in that same comfort zone and you work for the same company, you're not going to expand, you're not going to grow. A lot of companies will put you, kind of pigeonholes you because you're good at your certain job. But when things get tight, when companies start losing money or doing cutbacks, there's a good chance you're probably going to get cut. And, I was a victim of that. I hate saying the word victim, but it's what happened. So don't be afraid to look for new jobs. You might be happy where you're at, but keep your eyes open. It's something I didn't do. And, that's something you and I talked about.
Well, we're in a very good economy. It's okay to you can move from job to job.
Yeah.
Everybody's hiring.
Yeah, the economy right now is very good, and it's been good for the last year and a half. And when you're at a company the only company in the whole East Central Indiana area that is cutting jobs, that should be red lights. That should be flashing red lights. Hey, something's going on here. I had the attitude, I'll be loyal. I will help this company get out of this situation. I'll prove, I can do this. And, sometimes you got to go with your gut. I was kind of blindsided by getting let go in one way, and another way I look back, I'm like, it was kind of on the wall, but I was a little naive. And the whole experience has taught me, hey, keep your eyes open. Don't get tunnel vision. Don't think you can be the hero. When you're talking millions and millions of dollars, one person isn't going to make a huge difference. Other things I picked up through this experience, first of all, two things that Jill really helped me get involved with. First of all was church. It was obviously your idea to start going to church.
We'd already started going.
A couple weeks
Before this happened.
About 2 weeks before this all went down. You had talked over the summer, we wanted to get Blair going to church, and we wanted to go to church. And you're like, hey, let's go. I said, sounds great. And I started to take to it. And then this happened, and actually the first person I went and talked to that Wednesday was our pastor. And honestly, not as much for the religious aspect of it, just I knew he was very well connected to the community. I was like, okay, I'll get this guy some resumes. Pastor Jim, hey, here's some resumes. A lot of people in the community. But it really started a path of, being able to go to church and pray about things. So that was a great asset to have. And the other thing you kind of introduced to me is running. As weird as it sounds, I've never been a runner. You ran a 10K in September. Was it early September?
Yeah, mid-September. Well, I think it was like literally a week before this happened.
I was still working. And, I did not run that race with you. You ran a 10K. And the reason, and it's embarrassing, the reason I didn't run that race with you is because I was working too many hours to go work out at the gym. I was putting all these hours in. And what did it lead to? I got let go. I got basically fired. And I'm like, you can't lose focus of your own health, your own exercise, your own body for a company. And I did that, and I lost focus. And I felt, when you're running that 10K, I felt terrible. I'm like, the reason I'm not running is because I've put work in front of everything else. 2 weeks later, I get fired, basically. So as soon as, obviously I wasn't working every day, I'm like, all right. So we signed up for a 10K, and it was a Thanksgiving weekend. So that was kind of a purpose thing. Like, all right, I gotta run 3-4 days a week. So those two things have really helped this whole journey, I guess you would say. Of, all right, I got to get up, I got a job search, I got a 10K coming up here in a few weeks, I need to go run. And I found running has been one of the most relaxing, kind of head-clearing things I've done since I got let go from my previous job. And how much time have I spent with you and Blair? It's been fantastic.
Every day.
Pretty much every day. I got to make his breakfast quite a bit. Get him a waffle ready, or scramble up some eggs, or some toast. And I know
watch Sesame Street.
I've watched a
before
lot.
Nap time
Yeah, I've
every
watched
day.
a lot of Sesame Street. But it's been great. It's one of those. It's been a difficult time. And there's been a lot of sleepless nights. There's been a lot of times you and I have talked. It's been stressful, but I've grown so much from it. If you can take a bad situation and see the positive out of it, and if you keep grinding, keep working, keep putting applications out, now I have a job I get to start Monday that I'm looking forward to. This isn't just a job to make a paycheck. It's a job I think could lead to a long-term career there. So, how's it been for you? Having your husband home for 3.5 months, and it's kind of been an adjustment, I guess you'd say. Overall, it's been great, but it's been a little weird for me to be home this much.
Well, I will say this is the most time we've ever spent around each other, ever. So there has been some tense moments. But that we probably wouldn't have had otherwise.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like we ever had a fight, but yeah, we've been on top of each other quite a bit.
And Blair's become a daddy's boy, and starting tomorrow, he needs to become a mama's boy again.
I think that's been your biggest issue. Blair was, I wouldn't say he was a mama's boy, but he always favored you because you were around
And
so
he
much more.
should.
But all of a sudden, I'm home every day. I'm the one making his breakfast.
Wait, I made his breakfast too.
You would get him ready, get him dressed. You did as much as not more the whole time, but it's something switched with him. Like he was all about me, and it bothered you.
Yeah, because he acted like he hated me.
I don't think he hated you, but yeah, I was favored for quite a while.
I couldn't do anything for him. He only wanted you to do it.
Well,
Like, I would try to put him in his high chair, and he would flip out until I got him down, and you could put him in his high chair, and all was good.
but you could look at that another way: is hey, his dad got to spend a lot of extra time with him for this window.
I know that. This is the last 3.5 months is time that you're never going to get back. And
No.
not a lot of men can say that have had this chance to spend this much time with their young son. I get that.
No, it's been awesome. Like I said, we we get him up together. I'd get his breakfast ready, or you would get his breakfast ready, and I'd get him dressed. And we, when it was warm, we go for walks, or we take him to the zoo. It's been a great time. It's been stressful, but I feel like you and I have really worked hard together, even though we've had our little differences, to make the best of it. To say, hey, this time isn't going to happen very often. Let's enjoy it. Let's go to the zoo. Let's go to the park. Let's go do this.
Let's go do free stuff because we don't have money.
Yeah, there
coming in.
wasn't a lot of money coming in there
It's not
for
like
a while.
we were jetting off to places.
No. Our big weekend might be
Swimming at the Y.
swim at the Y and maybe a park or a state park and just let Blair explore the grounds. So, but no, it's been a crazy journey. A lot of emotions. I felt betrayed with my former employee. I felt like I was put in a situation that was very difficult, but we've made the best of it. I think we've both learned from it.
I remember you saying, I don't know, it was that week or the next week, you said to me, you go, Jill, you know me, I don't get hurt very often. I don't get my feelings hurt. And you said, I feel hurt and betrayed.
Yeah.
And that really got to me.
Yeah, I'm pretty go with the flow. I try not to get too emotional attached to too many things, but you put 9 years in a company and you kind of get thrown into a role that you're not ready for, you don't have the experience for, and they literally tell you it's going to take you 8-9 months to figure out kind of even what's going on, and after 7 they say we got to let you go. It was a huge slap in the face. I'm still angry about it. I try to be the good person and forgive, I guess you would say, but I'm not going to forget about it. It was, to be honest with you, I've seen them do it to other people, and that's not bashing a company. That's just what happened. And to be honest with you, it happened a lot. I wish that company the best. There's a lot of great people, a lot of good friends that still work there. I wish the best for them. I want them to succeed. I want them to make money so their employees can make more money and get better bonuses and all that. But, I left with a pretty bad taste in my mouth. But that's life.
As anyone would.
That's life. You can't always control your situation. It's how you react to them. And I felt like I'm not perfect, but I had a good approach. I was like, okay, this is my situation. My new purpose is to apply as many locations as I can. I'm going to enjoy as much time with my family as I can. I want to get focused on running. We started going to church. So, I kind of okay, this is my situation. This is what I'm going to do to make the best of it. And it's really all you can do.
And know that I was right.
You were. Hey, I told you, and I'll admit it, there were days I was like, I should have took that job at Magna. I can't believe I didn't take it. We're sitting here, we're almost out of severance pay. But, it worked out, and you said it was going to work out. So that's why you marry someone smart. You marry someone faithful. You marry someone who's on your side. I think a lot of wives would have been like, oh, well, you got to get to work so we get some money. You looked at it as, no, don't take that job because we won't have family time. And that's most important. We knew what we kind of needed to have to, make the bills, get paid and all that stuff. But you just had this faith that, it was going to work. And I was smart enough to listen to you.
Yep.
And we've made it work. Fortunately, we got family who, always have checked in on us and helped us out. And
we missed a big part of the story, Jake. So you were let go the end of September, and mid-October, our furnace craps out.
Yep, our furnace. Yeah, and was it 2 weeks?
Our 20-year-old furnace craps out.
Yeah, in October, our furnace went out. So
our heating element and our hot water tank went out, and something's still wrong with our oven, but it works. It just doesn't heat up all the way.
Here. That's life. Life's difficult. It's not easy. But the whole experience, I just feel like I'm a better person. I'm stronger.
We have it way better than other people, and that's what you always have to remember every day.
Right. I mean,
there's always someone that is worse off than you and could only wish for what you have.
And the thing I've always said, I'm like, if I have my health, if I have my health, I'm fine. I can get up out of bed. I can go work. I can go walk. I can go run. I can go work out. If I have that, I could do anything because I've got family around me. I got friends around me. I got my faith. We're going to make it work. Health was never an issue during this whole process. So it's one of those, this has been a crazy journey. It's been difficult, but in the big picture, it's not been that big a deal. Not when you compare it to what people go through with, might be cancer, babies in the NICU, all that stuff. So it's been a great venture. It's been fun. I start work on January 13th at my new job. I can't wait. But
I'll have to make Blair's breakfast tomorrow morning.
You're going to have to make breakfast tomorrow. You're going to have to make breakfast quite a bit because I'll be leaving early. But no, if you're uncomfortable with a job, if you're not happy with a job, get looking. Don't be complacent. I got complacent. It kind of bit me, but I've learned from it. I'm better for it. And I think we both learned quite a bit from it. So things are great. Got a new job. Ready to get going and start bringing some money into the house. So, Jill, you got anything else? It's been fun. It's been a crazy 3.5 months, but I need to get back to work.
It's been a lovely vacation.
We haven't gone anywhere, but it's been fun.
Sure. Yeah, it's been fun.
Well, hey, this is obviously the first podcast of 2020. We're definitely going to keep it going. I think we're going to try to touch on more news topics this year. Not necessarily politics, but
kind of.
What's going on in the world. It's 2020. It's an election year.
This is 2020.
We all know what's coming. We all know what's happening this year. We're definitely going to talk about it. We'll talk about news. We'll talk about stuff going on in our life. And if you have anything you want us to talk about, just shoot us a message. So, Jill, cheers.
Make it a great day and sit and say.